Yes.
They're simply Johns on the streets of America.
There might be some that might be actually looking for love that can't find it maybe in America, but you didn't let some rotten apples into y'all group, and y'all need to call the ones out that's not doing it correctly. Because baby, we not just in America. You can claim wherever you want to be anytime. I don't care. Get a passport. Go find your love. But at the same time, don't put down us just because you feel like you've had some rejection. Deal with rejection. Heal.
I don't agree with necessarily what she is saying as far as like, if you're going to do something, there's no need for you to go and have to try to throw shade in the women that you're doing it. So I agree, because I've seen some of that. But it's like, why also don't we have that same smoke for when women have done it? And this is why these complaints fall on deaf ears. Because we're like, oh, you need to go heal. Okay, you need to go do this. Like it's like we're patronizing these dudes. Like we're trying to talk down on them. And meanwhile, we're doing the exact same thing. And we're engaging in OnlyFans. Like, what are we, it's like, what are we even talking about? We're literally, it's like we're doing the exact same thing that we are judging them for doing. This is why this stuff is never taken seriously. Because it's like, ma'am, like, really, we're going to say you need to go heal, focus on yourself, focus on your own trauma. I wish as women we had that same smoke for one another. I really do. I think if that culture existed amongst Black women and we were like, look, you need to stop talking down on your men. Okay, you need to move in silence. Okay, don't go and put all your business on Front Street. Don't go away talking about all these ninjas is trash. And we need to divest. I need to get away from Blackistan. All these pookies is deleting us. Like, you need to stop saying that. Go heal. Like, I think if that kind of culture collectively existed among Black women, then you actually there might be more, I think, men and, men who would be able to engage in these conversations. There might be like, okay, willingness to be like, okay, you know what? Let's listen. Let's try to compromise. Let's make sure we're not saying all women. But that's the cold part. Like I said, this stuff is very, very one-sided. We got all the smoke, and all these men have to be all kinds of considerate, and they can't say this, and they have to abide by all these rules while they're exploring their options. And yet there's no rules and there's no collective responsibility when it comes to when the women do it. And it's super hypocritical. That's why it's like, this to me is all cap. Complaining about sex tourism as an OnlyFans model. Okay, and then being mad at men for going abroad to find traditionally minded women when you're not traditional. You are a single mother with 2 kids from 2 different men. By your own words. Like, this is, we ain't making this up. You talked about it. And then talking about, oh, well, you need to go heal. Don't be talking about Black women. But was there any smoke for when women did it? And when women do it? Because they are doing it. Is there any smoke there? Is there any concern when Black women go abroad and explore their options and engage in hot girl summer, okay, and do solo traveling? Is there any smoke when it happens for them and when they do it? This is the Brazilian feminist who was saying Paso Bros were sex tourists was asked directly by Tanya Tigel, did she call out the white men who've been legitimately doing this for years? And she started back. That's what I'm saying. It's crazy too. It's literally crazy that they're trying to paint Austen as the face of sex tourism, which to my understanding, that's not what he did at all. When you literally had decades upon decades upon decades of white men doing this out in the open for a while. Like I said, my husband went there and he traveled around the country and said, like, yeah, especially in the more affluent areas in certain parts of the district, like you exclusively saw older white men with Brazilian women. And you knew what was going on. Like, there was no question. Like, you saw that kind of stuff all the time. So now you got a young 23-year-old Black man, going abroad, having fun, trying to, just learning about the culture. And now he's the face of sex tourism all of a sudden, when you had decades upon decades upon decades of multiple men of other races doing this or doing worse. So that's what I'm saying. It's super hypocritical. It's not consistent. Says it's fascinating to see the we don't need men woman concerned about the activities of those men they profess not to care about. Like, literally, like, seriously, that's, again, it's going back to hypocrisy. We got a whole lot of smoke and we have so much to say about a group of leftover men that we supposedly don't care about. Y'all feel me? Like, this don't make no kind of sense. Okay. To me, all this is cap. It's not legitimate. because the women who are, their complaints are the very same things that they actually are doing or want. They complain about the sex tourism. She's an OnlyFans model. So that's cap. Okay. Then, you know, there's complaint about, oh, well, they're making, why are you going to go abroad and then you're going to make fun of us? That's cap. How many decades have Black women been online openly disparaging men? So that's cap. And I mean, that's just media in general. They just talk about men all the time. But that's cap. So it's not about trying to protect the community or protect our image, because if that was the case, then there wouldn't have been the last couple of decades of Black men in particular being the brunt of the joke. So that's cap. Then you got it's because, you know, we are upwardly mobile and we have more education, and then that's why they're going abroad. I've never met a pastor, bro, that said, oh, I can't be with a woman because she has a high school education. Not saying that doesn't happen on some, you know, on really, really small cases, but in majority of cases, that's not the complaint. The complaint isn't her education. The complaint is her attitude. We don't want to talk about that. We also want to talk about the fact that we're trying to shame men for going abroad and getting traditionally minded women, while we are actually creating the kinds of households that lead to really bad results. Single parent households. Let's talk about that. What do we think is actually going to be what do you think is going to be a harder, or lead to worse results in the Black community? Men going abroad and grabbing passports and creating new families, or women having kids outside of wedlock, or having kids with fathers or not in the home? I personally think that is a bigger issue. And so when we want to talk about collective responsibility, my opinion is that I think we as women have a huge responsibility to ourselves to get ourselves together first. Then once we've done that, you know what I mean? Once we've gotten that all taken care of, maybe we can go back and be like, okay, and then we can have a conversation. But until then, we can't shame men with bad results. We can't shame men with, you know, an OnlyFans, finding myself, career-driven modern women with 2 kids that's going to need a stepfather when we don't know where the fathers are at. And God only knows if they want to submit or not. Like, we can't shame men with that prototype. If they're looking for traditional women, we cannot shame them by telling them to stay here and try to settle for modern women that probably don't even want them, because they call them leftover men. So it's all cap. All of it is cap. All of it is cap. It's not legitimate. I think a lot of these women simply are mad that they're going to have to compete. The competition now is a lot more fierce. I don't know how else to put it. No longer is it just competing with the people in your block or your street, or even in your state, even in your nation. It's not international. And at a certain point, that might mean we have to be self-reflective and figure out, okay, why are we not getting the men that we want? Why are we not getting these upward mobility men? I think that is a more productive situation, instead of trying to shame men by the very same women they're trying to escape from. Just saying.